Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to have a call with you. I want to thank everybody for being on the call and investing your time in learning. And I'd kind of like to make clear what's going to happen on this call because it's going to be a little different than a lot of calls I've done before. So, what we're going to talk about is what it exactly takes to be successful in real estate. And right now, I think my head's cut off a little bit, so I'll get my camera a little better. So, I really want to talk about what activities, what exactly it does you have to do in real estate to be successful. It's very clear, and most people complicate it, including me and what I was selling. We complicate a simple process, and it really boils down to being just a few things to be successful in real estate. And successful, I just want it to be your level of success. So if successful to you is 25 closings, look at this as helping you get to 25 closings. If successful to you is 50 or 75, look at it from that point of view. Because this model will take you from 25 to 250 to 500 to 1,000 plus closings. This model works no matter where you're at in your real estate business. And it's something that I've coached for and probably did my business on for the last 40 years. So we're going to I'm going to ask you some challenging questions, and I'm going to ask you to be honest when you're answering them. I'm going to give you some challenging points. And so if you're looking for true honesty of what it takes to be successful in real estate and you're a little worried about answering the questions, this may not be the right call for you. So I just want to just make it up front. So here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to ask you some questions, and I'm asking you to be totally candid in your answers. So I would like your permission to do that. So everybody that would agree with that, if you could just give a thumbs up that you're willing to play that game. Give me a thumbs up either on your camera or a thumbs up on your phone where I can see you. Great. So some of you have heard this before, and some of you haven't. And some of you are going, it's the same thing I've heard before. Yup, because nothing's changed. It's the same thing over and over and over. So, what I found in coaching some of the best agents in the country, and it's really interesting over the last few weeks, I'm listening to podcasts done by agents that are doing now thousands and thousands of closings. I just listened to an interview of a gentleman that he and his team sold 2,800 houses last year. They're tracking over 3,000 for this year. So this works no matter what game you're playing. So I'd like everybody to get a sheet of paper, a blank sheet of paper, and on the top, I'd like you to write the word consistency. And we're going to talk about that in depth. So the number one key to success in real estate and the number one key to anything that you're successful in is you're consistent. Consistency means you do it for a number of days out of the year. So let's think about that differently, though. I never presented it this way. So let's look at two sides of a coin. So if you do something consistently, it could be done for 50 days, or it could be done for 100 days, or it could be done for 200 days. It could be done every day. Like there are certain things you might do consistently for your health. You may take certain supplements and you take them every day So that consistency is at 365 days a year for 10 years in a row. I've been on some of my supplements after my bypass surgery for 26 years. Every day, do I have a choice? No. That consistency is the more I take them, the longer I'll probably be here. Now, there's consistencies where you have no choice. You just have to be consistent every day. Then there's consistency, like, like selling real estate. We have to be consistent in two things. So under consistency, write down actions. And we have to do the right actions to find appointments. We have to do the right actions to find appointments. Secondly, we have to consistently practice our skills so that we can master our skills. Not memorize them, not internalize them, not personalize them. We got to get to mastery. Mastery. And what I'm finding is I thought mastery was in a few things. I got a half a page of notes that you have to master. It's not only mastering your lead generation, it's mastering your pricing. It's mastering your price reductions. It's mastering your listing presentation. It's mastering talking to your database. It's mastering talking to FSBOs. It's mastering talking to expireds. It's mastery in every aspect of the business. So we have to master our ability to get appointments. We have to master the words and all those things to master our skills. And we have to do it consistently and consistently per year, consistently per multiple years, consistently for 10 years, consistently for 20 years, whatever. We need that consistency because if we don't get the consistency, we don't get the compounding. Because you can be in real estate two different ways. You can be in real estate 1 year 5 times, or you can be in real estate for 5 years. And most people are in real estate 1 year 5 times. They just keep doing the same thing they did the first year over and over and over. They're no better at it. There's no consistency. There's no skill building. And then you can be in real estate five years and basically go from 10 closings. By the end of the 5th year, you could be at 100. So one thing I want to take here on the mastering your skills, I want Dinah's on the call, and I'd just like to have her take a minute or so and talk about sales mastery, a class that she has, because all these things you have to master verbally and conversationally are critical, and they have to be compounded, not just memorized, because if they come memorized, you're going to get no response off of it. So Diana, could you just talk about sales mastery and what
just
you're
very
doing
quickly.
to compound this idea?
Right. First of all, I do want to honor Polly Austin, who is in the chats looking for role play partners, serious role play partners. And I love that because that's going to master our skills. And when Tony asked me to speak about this for 2 minutes, here's what. A lot of people are having you memorize scripts and they go, oh, this script works. Well, that script works provided your buyer or seller knows their part of the script. And there are scripts that work time with certain sellers. Like if any time I'm telling you the truth, you're going to feel uncomfortable. I mean, that's what I found with every seller I've ever worked with any buyer I've ever worked with. And you do want an agent to tell you the truth. Well, that's a statement and a question at the end. So those types of things may work. Yet when you get into dialogue, when you get into conversations, if they don't know they're part of it, you've got to know how to engage their brain in different ways. Now, Rana, you've been in the class twice as a VIP, and we talk about the entire brain. See, most people are just working with a portion of it. We've got to get inside into what is called the amygdala, right in here, because unless this part of their brain is literally activated, they will not take action. And most people keep them in a positive present mode to where if you're in positive present, you don't want anything to change. Therefore, they want to think it over, they delay, maybe they don't make a decision at all. So when we understand how the brain works, how all of the parts of the brain works, and why the words we use actually work, we're using and engaging their entire brain, giving them the context that is needed. So Tony, in Sales Mastery, we talk about the words we use, keyword backtracking, how to get their entire brain involved so the unconscious mind literally helps them make a decision.
Great. So
And
that's
Tony,
go
sorry,
ahead.
just real fast before you move on, Chase had a question that asked about how is consistency different from frequency?
I really don't know.
May
All I
I?
would say consistency is frequency is not consistency. Frequency to me has gaps in it. Consistency has no gaps in it. So Diana, you're great on words. What would you say?
Well, I think that the difference is consistency is doing the same thing over and over again and improving each and every time through reflection. Frequency and consistency are often confused and they produce different results. See, frequency is how often you do it, and consistency is how reliably you do it. That's what I would answer.
Okay. So that's what we're going to talk about. So consistency is doing it every day for a certain number of days. So let's think about that. So here's a question I'm going to ask everybody. How many of you, just put it in the chat, how many of you have done 20 days of finding buyers and sellers, 20 days in the last 4 weeks? You've 20 days, you've spent time every day, 20 days, Monday through Friday in the last month, 20 days looking for buyers and sellers, and 20 days where you spent at least an hour doing that, and 20 days where you spent at least 2.5 hours a week growing your skills and practicing your skills. Just put yes in the chat if you did it.
Lots of mixed responses, lots of
How
no's,
many yeses?
yeses.
Just plain old, how many yeses?
I'd say there's more no's at this point. I don't know.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to.
Probably about 10 yeses there.
Great. So there's 48 people on the call. So 20% of the call did their job. So I'm going to ask you a question then. How many of you have done that? So today we're at the end of the 7th month. So we've been at this for 7 months. So it'd be 4 weeks a month. How many of you have done this for over 100 days? Put in yes or no. 100 days where you did at least an hour looking for buyers and sellers, and 2.5 hours a week for the last 27 weeks, 28 weeks, an hour, 2.5 hours on your lead gen. I mean, on your skill building? Everybody needs to answer this. We can't get 20. There's 50 people on the call. There should be 50 yeses or nos.
A handful of yeses, lots of nos.
Great. Okay. So that's, would you say 80-20?
I
And
think that's good.
Yes.
so
Absolutely.
one thing I was going to say is, of those 80%, answer this then in the chat. If you've done it for 20 days, 20, with all those that said yes, are you on goal or over goal or not on goal? So how many are not on goal or on goal? In the 20% are the people that said yes, they did the actions. What's the answer?
So
All
far,
of
I'm
them are
seeing
not.
so far lots of not on goals.
Okay, so then if you're doing the activities, then what are we lacking if we're not on goal? Anybody just put it in the chat what you think you're doing, not doing, that's not keeping you on goal. Skills, systems,
Follow up,
mastery, skill building.
mastery.
Yep,
Lots of follow up answers.
right. Okay, so follow up is a skill. So then let's look at a mass consistency from 2 points of view. Let's say we want to do consistently 100, we want to do 150 days of consistent practice and looking for buyers and sellers. That's only 30 weeks a year. That means you're not working 22 weeks a year. So you're practically part-time. You're just slightly over part-time. So the consistency needs to be on the days, and only 20% of the people, about 20% said yes to being on goal. So now let's look at it. How many of you have did this looking back over the last year? How many people have done those two things 150 days or more? Put in yes or no. So all 50 people 49 people can answer. So so one of the things we're not on goal and why we're not succeeding is in real estate is we haven't done enough consistency. So if you do a 200 days a year, that means you're working 40 weeks. How many weeks out of the month are you working? You're getting 12 weeks off, so you're only working 3 out of every 4 weeks. In the beginning, when our skills are not where they should be and our consistency is not where it should be, what kind of results we're going to get? What we want or what we don't want? Just,
But we
put
don't
it,
want.
yeah. You're going to get what you because you haven't spent enough time multiplying and get the consistency and building your skills. So I would say to be successful in real estate, you've got to be closer to 200 days a year in consistency. And 200 days a year gives you how many weeks off? Gives you a week a month off. Still get 12 weeks of vacation, even if you're working 200 days a year. So I'm going to ask you, just put it in the chat. How many of you need more than 12 weeks a year off to live, to have a great life? What if you had a real job? How many weeks do you get a year? If you work at, you get 2. You get 2. We're offering you 12 and still asking you to only work 40 weeks a year. We're only asking you to work 200 days a year. So that's what consistency means. Consistency then builds the compounding. And you just keep getting better and better and better. Because if you do 2 hours a day of looking for buyers and sellers, what happens to your skills during that time? They all grow. Your skills get better. You're basically also improving your skills in that 2 hours. So you're getting better every 2 hours you do it that day, or every 3 hours you do that day. So consistency is critical. And in order to have consistency, what tool do we need? Right, put it in the chat. What tool do they need? We need. We need discipline. Yep. We need routine. Yep. We need a bunker. Yes. What else? We need systems, accountability, phone. We need a time blocking what? Put it in the chat, a time blocking schedule. So what do we do? What's the first thing if you look at people that talk about managing your time, what's the first thing they ask you to do with your 1-year calendar? Anybody? Block off all your
vacations.
Block off vacations, block off when you're gone. Block all that off. How many of you, just put it in the chat, how many of you live by your time blocking schedule 80 to 90% of your days? Say yes.
Lots of yeses. Lots of yeses.
Lots of yeses. So that means you don't have finding buyers or sellers in your calendar. Because most of you said no on doing the finding buyers and sellers. So I'm very confused. I'm confused because if you do this every day and you're not hitting your goal, then I guess skills are almost getting to be more important than the time. Because if you're going to spend 2 or 3 hours on the phone and you're not getting the results you want, then it really is a skill issue. So every day you block off your morning time, because remember, you find your business in the morning, you service your business in the afternoon. That's what a time blocking schedule looks like. So are you putting in your 2 or 3 hours a day of finding buyers and sellers and appointments? Is it in your calendar 200 days a year? If it's not, starting today, get your calendar, put it in your computer, whatever. I prefer you using a paper calendar, but so you can actually see and track your time blocking. Put in your 2 or 3 hours a day. You're going to talk to people to find appointments with buyers and sellers. And then I'd like you to answer one other question too about those 2 or 3 hours a day for 200 days a year. Answer the question, why are you doing that? Why are you spending 200 days a year, 2 to 3 hours a day, 1 to 3 hours a day, looking for buyers and seller appointments? Because at that point, we're going to have to look at one of the things we're going to answer that question with is our allocation plan. Oh, I had it here and now I can't find it. Sorry. got so many notes I was going to talk about. But anyway, I'll grab it in a second. So we have an allocation plan. It tells us why we're doing the activities we're going to do because we want to accomplish our goals. The first goal, why we do this consistently, is to make enough money to live this lifestyle we want. The second thing is to start accumulating cash reserves so that we can live through any challenges along our life. And then we can start accumulating enough cash flow that we can start doing special things. We can start buying rental properties. We can take long family vacations. We can do all these other things that we want to do in life. But we have to use our allocation plan because we use that to tell us what we're going to do with the money we make. And if your money doesn't have a name on it, like I make 100,000 a year, I want to make 200. What are you going to do with that extra $100,000? If it costs you 100,000 to live, then you have to put a name on that other money. Well, we know what's the first name on your extra $100,000. What's the first person you give it to? What's the first entity we give our extra money to?
Taxes.
Taxes. Don't have a choice on that one. Don't have a choice on that one. Secondly, is now it becomes your money. What do you want to do? People are talking, put in there, I've seen, rental properties, vacations. I mean, real vacations. I just got a call from a client, old client, wasn't even a client. We just talked a lot. And he said to me, I'm going on my first class Hawaii, Italy trip. I said, what's that? And he said, remember 15 years ago, you told me if I go to Italy, I need to go first class? Well, I am. It's costing me $35,000 to go to Italy for 2 weeks first class tickets, first class hotels. But he said, that's why I worked the last 15 years and worked and didn't want to take that vacation until I could go first class. So just think about why we doing this. Otherwise, if we don't have a why to do 200 days a year, build our skills for 200 days a year, we're not going to do it. So just think of it from that perspective. What are some of the activities we could be doing? And we'll talk more about that. You could be doing it through social media. You could be doing it through AI. You could be doing it through calling FSBOs and expireds. You can do it by circle prospecting. You can do it by building a farm. You can do it by YouTubes. You can be doing it through video emails. You could be doing it through open houses. There's a multiple things we could be doing to find those buyers and sellers and set appointments with them. So we've got to build that allocation plan every year so we know what we're going to do with the cash. We're going to do with the results. We're going to help so many people. We're going to help them fulfill their real estate needs. So write down what your number one source of business is. Write it in the chat. Let's mastermind a little bit here. What's your number one source of business? Referrals, database, SOIs, expireds, relationships, sphere, cold calling, referrals, database, letter campaigns. Wow. Referrals, SOI, past client referrals. So it looks like our number one source of business is database. And I know those of you who were on the call last week, Diana's question and answer call. Diana, you didn't mention how to get on your sales mastery program.
Oh, yeah, you can go to dianak.com and that will get you there. We've got it right there, /scripts.
Okay. So great, thank you. And we talked a little bit about database last week on the Q&A, and to get on Diana's question and answer on Tuesday morning at 8:30 Central Time is Diana K. It's 2 N's in Diana.com/ask. So we'll spend a lot of time on it, but we know that we have to build a big, strong database. We have to be adding to it how often? Put it in the chat. How often do you build your database? Yep, daily. You have to build this thing daily. And you have to have a goal. Are you going to add one person a day? You're going to add 2 people a day? You're going to add 5 people a day? Is your goal to add 10 people a week or 20 people a week? And we talked, you can go, is that call your Tuesday calls available on record or not? Great. So, Nicole, thank you. So if you missed last week's call, go back into one of those medias and you can listen to again. We talked a lot about how to build a database and and how often to touch them and things like that. We talked about farming. See, here's an interesting thing. Today, farming is one of the top 5 sources of business. When I was got into real estate 51 years ago, farming was a source of business. In between today and those 51 years ago, it at one time was taboo to do a farm. Why does a farm work today when it worked 51 years ago? Why didn't it work in the gap? Because we did it a certain way and it worked. In 1975 and 1980, farming worked. Then we kept doing it the old way, not changing it and adding to it. So then it stopped working. So instead of figuring out how to make it work, what did we do? We stopped using it and saying, farming doesn't work. Why is it working today? Because we changed the way of doing it. Back then, if you touched them once a quarter, it was enough. Then suddenly, a thing came called computers. And computers made it easier because the only way you could touch them with every month was either calling them, door knocking them, or mailing. Today's words is snail mailing them. There weren't computers. There wasn't technology of any kind. Carrier route sorting at the post office was the best way of doing it. It was the cheapest, but it may not have been the best. But we had nothing else. So we kept going like we didn't have technology. And then when we got technology, we already gave up on farming. Why is farming working today? Because you got technology. Now you can in the old days, we thought touching your farm 12 times a year was magical. How could you touch them more than once a month? Now you touch them 2 or 3 times a week. Suddenly your farm turns into a what? Put it in the chat. What does your farm turn into if you touch them 60, 70, 80, 100 times a year? A pipeline, yep. A database, exactly. It goes from a geographic farm to a geographic database. So you want to add 1,000 people to your database? Go start a farm. Put 1,000 people in your farm and touch them as much as you touch their database. And it's free. You don't have to buy one of those leads, because when you buy a lead, all you're doing is buying a farm that needs to be nurtured 6 to 18 months a year. So that farm can turn into a database. Here's another thing that's now very successful in finding appointments through buyers and sellers. Open houses. Open houses, you put a sign, 51 years ago, you put a sign in the ground, and hope like heck somebody showed up. So maybe our technology got better. We put up 4 or 5 signs. Then our technology didn't get any better. So then everybody said, don't do open houses because they don't work. Now we have open houses where we put up a sign, we put up balloon, we put up a bunch of signs to get them to the house. We start talking to our database about our open house. We start knocking doors in the area about our database, our open house, I should say. We also then put it on TikTok, and then we put it on Facebook, and we do this and we do that and we do this and we do that. And before you know it, we used to be thrilled having 2 people at an open house. Now people are getting hundreds of people at an open house. Our technology has just made open houses a lot better. And here's an interesting thing. I'm working with some people that are starting to do it in their market centers. They're doing a lot of open houses. Everybody that does open houses are knocking 100 to 150 doors. Here's an interesting thing. Those people are getting more leads off their door knocking than they inviting people to the open house than they're getting from the open house. One guy, brand new to real estate, he started door knocking for his open house. He knocked 150 doors. He got 2 leads. One of them wrote a contract in the first 30 days of his real estate career, and it closed 30 some days later. So he had a closing in his first 60 some days of real estate. Would you like to guess? Just throw it in the chat. How many people showed up? He knocked 150 doors. How many people showed up at his open house? Take a guess. 0. Eric, you were right. He had 0 show up and he got 2 leads just doing the door knocking. So open houses work because people do what now? Door knock. Invite people.
The activities, that's what does it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. It's the activities. So here's an interesting thing we're doing with people that I'm working with is we're focusing on the activities. We're not focusing on the results. In fact, we're having contests where you get points for activities. And what we're learning is, guess what leads to the results? We don't give points for listings taken, because if you don't do the activities, you don't need to worry about taking a listing. You're not going to have anybody to take a listing with. So if you look at whatever we're doing, it's just really being powerful about the activities inside what you're focusing on. FSBOs. I have a guy that I used to coach, 185 closings a year off of FSBOs and expireds. He just did one thing that nobody else did. Take a guess and put it in the chat. What's the one thing he did that nobody else did that he got 155? Didn't door knock. He called FSBOs. Yes, you have to call FSBOs. He also did it with expireds. He called them. He visited them. Keep thinking. We haven't hit the answer yet. Sent a letter. Yep. Provided this. Did open houses. Yep. All that. Followed up. Yep. Followed up. Yep. Followed up. Yep. Followed up until what?
He said yes.
Followed up until what?
They said yes, or said, don't follow up with me anymore.
He followed up until what? He followed up until there was nobody left. So when he said, Teresa, when they said, don't call me again, what did he do?
Call again.
Called again. Absolutely. He called until there was nobody left. How did he get the listing? He was just there when they were ready. We don't think of things. It's you're saying to yourself, it can't be that simple. Yes, it was. He was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the suburbs of Milwaukee. He called it last man standing because he was a man. So it basically, the game he played was last person standing. I called until there was nobody left. So when they decided to list, I got almost all the listings because there's nobody left. So Ronnie's right about, all of us are right about activities. This whole success in real estate is activities consistently. And then when people build teams, that when they're used to doing that every day and they build teams and somebody joins their team, what do they have to do? They have to be the same thing. They have to be looking for buyers and sellers 2 or 3 hours a day for the next 200 days. Now you got 2 people doing that. Now you're at 100, 150, 200 closings. And then you add another person to the team. What do they have to do exactly the same? Now that's just multiplying. You're not adding people to help you do more business. You're adding people to help you do more what, Ronnie, then? You got people.
Activity.
Yeah. Now you just tripled your activities. What will happen to your business? It'll triple, at least triple. And if you got 3 really good people, I had a guy, he and 2 people, their best year was 489 closings. He had, but guess what? Every one of them lead generated 3 hours a day, 200, and I'd say they were in the 220, 25 day range. 489 closings, 3 people. But they mastered their activities. They all were under 20 contacts to an appointment. He was at 5 contacts to an appointment. How skilled was he? Well, if you're talking to 10 people an hour, you're talking to 30 people a day. Between the 3 of them, they were talking to 90 people a day, 450 people a week, 1,800 people a month, 1,800 times 12. You're talking to 24,000 people. Are you going to find a buyer or a seller? Heck yes. And if you're really good at it, you're really going to find a lot of buyers and sellers. In fact, 489 buyers and sellers. How many of you think we put in the chat, how many of you think we complicate the real estate business? Yes or no? Yep. Everybody answer that. Yeah. So how simple is this business? It's that simple. But now look at this. We have to get good at our skills. We talked about that a second ago. So let's think about that. We have to have master skills. So it's like every person you talk to, part of our scripting needs to be, what question would we want to know from every person we talk to that we have a conversation with? What's one thing we'd like to know from all those people?
What is your timeline?
What is your timeline? What is your timeline? Because when you find their timeline, what have you just improved?
Your odds of working with them successfully to a closing.
Yep. What's that called? That's our pipeline.
Motivation.
Timing.
Pipeline. If we know our pipeline, we know our 10, 9s, 8, 7s. We also know our 90 days. We also know our 180 days. We also know our 270 days. We know our 365 days. We know our 2 years. We know our 3 years. We know our 5 years. And all those times do we need buyers and sellers. Every day for the next 5 years, it would be nice to have buyers and sellers working themselves up the ladder to fit into our 10, 9, 8, and 7s, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. In the meantime, they go into our what? We put them in our database. We touch them 60 times a year. How do you touch them 60 times a year? We talked about that, and I will leave that, but you just keep providing them with information. We keep adding value to their real estate knowledge. Same thing, even if they're a FSBO, if here's an example. Who are the best expireds to call? The ones from today or the ones from a year ago?
A year ago.
Both.
Absolutely. Would it be better to call them 2 years ago? 3 years ago? You never run out of expired leads. You can go back. And here's the interesting thing. They all tell you that they're in a hurry to buy or sell. And you go back 3 years later, did you buy or sell? Nope. They're still in the rental that they were in. Well, we want the interest rates to get better. Let's see. Your rent is, if I look at rent correctly, it's 100% interest. Basically, you get nothing for those 3 years. No equity build, no tax advantages.
Hey, Tony, I used that. I used that last night. I was charging my car. Guy next to me worked for UPS. Handed him a car, and he talked about how much he paid in rent. And then he talked about the interest rate was the reason why he would buy it. I said, well, let me ask you a question. How much interest are you paying per month right now? Took the rent, multiplied it by 12 times 5. 5 years he's been in that place. It came up to $80,000.
Wow.
Guess what he paid for?
Somebody else's mortgage.
That's exactly right. We as tenants, we as landlords, I should say, we should write a thank you note to our tenants every month and thank them for making your mortgage payment. In our case, all our rentals are free and clear, so we ought to thank them for paying us the money to go to Hawaii. Thank you for sending me to Hawaii with your rent payment. Here's a marketing thing I used to do with my buyer's agent. We stood in front of an apartment building, and the quote was, "How much equity did you build last year?" No, it says, something like that. I think we said, "Thank you for making our mortgage payment." And then we took a picture of a house, and then we said, "You ought to thank yourself for making yourself rich." And we just sent it to everybody in apartment buildings. There's a simple idea of looking for what? Buyers. Any other great marketing ideas you're using to find buyers? Eric, you just need to be standing around more, bumping into people and around apartment buildings, or go door knocking apartment buildings if you can get them. And just say, if you've been here a year, it's only cost you, if it's $1,000 a month, your interest was $12,000 on your house, on your apartment. If you've been here 5 years, it's whatever the number turned out to be. It just, I mean, this business is so simple.
Yeah, I do what Diana says, and I sit there, I just go through the math, right? Pull out my phone, pull out that calculator, and whatever number comes up, and they're always like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I spent that kind of money."
Yep. And what word did he just use that made that painful to them? What word did what did he just say?
You paid in rent.
Spent. Yes. We spent, because if he owned a house, he would be doing what? It would be what?
Investing,
He
building
would be
equity.
investing. He would be investing in equity. He would be, and equity would come two ways. What's the two ways the equity comes?
Market appreciation and mortgage
Market
pay down.
Yep.
Bond.
Mortgage paid down and appreciation. Even in the last 3 years when the market's bad, in most areas, what's happened to the appreciation? It's gone up, even if it's only 1 or 2%. 1% of a $300,000 house is $3,000. What other investment did he make that made him $3,000 a year for living in it? You're making money living in your house. Speaking of that, did anybody see the article? There was an article came out today. We're in some areas we need listings, in some areas we don't need listings. But I just saw an article that people like Blackstone and people like that, Eric, this is really important for your area because Blackstone owns a zillion houses in Atlanta. But somebody said they're going to start. This article said in the last 3 months, those big people like Blackstone that own hundreds of thousands of houses are starting to put some on the market. So I would let buyers know our inventory could give you an opportunity. Chase, it's going to be like that in Houston too, because Houston, Blackstone bought a ton of houses in Dallas and Houston. So for all of you that are in big cities, Gina, that's going to be for
So
affecting.
Blackstone's portfolio is managed by Invitation Homes in Atlanta, and all
Okay.
the rentals are managed by them. So
Okay.
they will be coming down, and Mark Spain was the main agent who bought all those properties for Blackstone.
Okay, so Blackstone is selling them and they're not putting them on the open market.
They will, but they already have an agent designated for it.
Okay, so that's one. So what we need to call every buyer and get them pre-qualified. So when those houses hit the market, why would you get them in those houses first? Because what's going to sell first? The
The
best.
good houses would go first,
Yeah,
and
good. The houses
condition.
that win the beauty contest and the price war are going to go first. So we need to get all of our buyers prepared. This is how you think when you're selling real estate. We need to get all our buyers prepared. If those houses are going to come out, we need to figure out what they're going to look like, how to get all our buyers lined up to get them in those houses first so they get the best pick and to get it done immediately. Because the person that's prepared the realtors that are prepared are going to sell the most houses because they're going to have the best selection. The people that are later are going to get the what?
Leftover.
The
They're going to get the
leftovers.
leftovers. Do you
The
want
trash.
people to be the best? And that's a great way of preparing them. There could be an increase in our inventory. Let's get prepared today. Because when those good houses are coming on the market, what happens every day when good houses hit the market?
Multiple offers.
They sell. Gino, you told me they sell in 8 to 10 days, yes, or less.
Yeah, they're selling the same day. Good houses, priced right, and good neighborhoods are going off with no contingencies.
Yep. So if we're prepared and those houses come on, we can tell our people, you have the best chance if we're prepared. Even if we're a day late, 10 of those houses those 10 of those 100 houses could be sold.
I have a question, Tony.
Yes.
Why are those houses so special? I mean, we are in a seller's market and there is a lot of new construction. Like, why are those particular houses from Blackstone a good opportunity versus the competition?
So
And how
have,
do we? Mhm.
you have buyers that haven't bought a house? Do you have buyers that haven't found the right house yet?
No.
So every one of your buyers is bought. Every one of your buyers bought a house. You have no
The
buyers
one,
waiting for a different house.
the ones that are under contract, yes. The
Oh,
ones,
but
the
not,
ones
not-
that I'm pursuing, I'm still pursuing them.
So
But the ones that are under contract, I've been able to find them house in the same week.
Okay.
that's
So every
great.
one of your buyers buys within a week. Then probably this is of no value to you then,
Okay.
because you don't need any more buyers.
I need more
You don't
buyers.
need, I'm sorry, you
I
don't need
need
any
to-
more houses. You don't
No,
need
no,
it.
no, 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 no. It's exactly. I don't need any more houses. The ones that I have are enough.
Okay. So then, what do you
They're
need to
not.
do?
You
They're.
know,
What do
Do
you
you think
need to
they're
get
being
this?
undervalued? Do you think they're being undervalued? Do you think because they're gonna come out in mass?
No, they're just adding to the inventory.
I see. And how does
let,
one know? Like, do they have a page for it? I mean, what if?
That's we have to find out what they would look like. I'm just saying there's an opportunity to message your buyers.
I see.
let me ask you a question. Do your buyers like to look at one or two houses, or do they like to look at more houses so they find the right one?
Your battery's running low. I don't know what that means.
They look at more than two till they find the right one.
Yeah, that it's going to give them more opportunity to look, and it's going to give you an opportunity to call and say there's more houses to choose from.
You know, I saw an interesting report just looking at the numbers in Houston, and we have our sales prices going up and our days on market going longer. And what that story tells me is that when people say market's going to crash and all this different type of stuff, that's not true because there's still a demand there. However, with the longer days on market, buyers have options in order to be able to, compare, get more than one house. And so the
They
seller
have time. Yeah.
are the ones that are pricing it to where it's a good buy. And so if you're the seller that's going to test the market and buyers are not going to pay for your overpricing incompetence. They are going to find someone else that's priced it right because they can.
Right,
There's a penalty for overpricing.
right. And so based on that, we have to master, we talked about that earlier. We have to master our listing presentation and especially the pricing part of the presentation. And also what? We have to master our words for price reductions. So really, if you look at it based on what Gina just said, that good houses sell in a day or two, that means if our house doesn't sell in 2 days, it's what?
Overpriced.
Overpriced. So
Or
you getting
or
if it doesn't sell in a week, it's basically in most markets it would be overpriced. Therefore, you should be getting a price reduction every week. Because what we know is if it wins the beauty contest and the price war, it what?
goes under contract.
Goes under contract. If you're not under contract, you're overpriced, period. No other excuses. No other. And that's what I mean.
Tony?
I said, we need to look at the challenge of the market. We need to be great realtors for the market. Go ahead, Diana.
Yeah, I've been speaking to a lot of realtors and they keep asking me, they've been asking me to speak at their market centers and on stages, and they say, talk to us about the hard conversations. And it's not happened once, it's happened now 5 times. Again today, they said, we want you to speak on the hard conversations. I go, conversations. And every one of them say pricing and commissions. And I go, well, why are we calling those hard? Why are we putting in our brain that those are hard conversations? Why are they just not conversations? Who in the world named them hard? Because when you say that to the brain goes, uh-oh, this is going to be tough to handle. And the context makes it larger than what it really is. See, it's which one are you going to make harder and larger than it needs to be made? So I really want to get rid of that. Tell us about the hard conversations and how to handle them. How about just help us with the conversations?
Yep. So it's 2:01. We've been on for an hour. Ronnie, got a comment?
Chase raised her hand first.
Yeah, I had
Okay.
Diana, what you just shared, I was talking to my sister and she was like, I've learned to take myself out of the conversation. She was a flight attendant. She said, when I was a flight attendant and I had to sell those bottles of liquor for $12, I didn't take it personal. I just told them the price and they either wanted the liquor or they don't, because that's just what it is. And what I've learned is being a better truth teller in my conversations. And so when we are talking about price reductions, because what I learned is that if the conversation has to happen either way, go for the number that you need. And so sometimes you see people that do a reduction for $1,000 or $2,000. That's the same buyer. And so go for that 5% reduction that's going to get you in a new bracket of the right buyer. Let them know we're either going to sell your house or we're going to sell your neighbor's house. We will sell a house.
Yeah,
There you go. I like that.
I love it.
I love it. That's great, Chase. We're going to sell your house or your neighbor's house. One of the two, you choose. I love that. Ronnie, go ahead.
I'm going to say this politely. Agents devalue this industry every single day. It's a shame.
Yep.
And I think it's the naivety that they don't know everything that's available to them. And what I mean by that is this. If you are taking a listing and not building in a price reduction from day one, using the seller's estimated net sheet, that's a great tool. 2 columns, the one you're going to list it for and their break even. Because if they're making a penny more than the break even, the price reduction is easy peasy if you built it in from day one.
There you go.
That's how I've always done it.
Right.
Number 2.
Go ahead.
They say interest rates. Have you talked to your lenders about assumable loans? I can get you a 2.5 interest rate right now, anywhere in the state of Florida. So where is the interest rate bad?
Yep.
Oh, crying.
Yep.
That's the point.
Yep. There's
bridge loans. How many of us know bridge loans? Oh my God. You want leverage. There you go.
Right. Yep. And back in when interest rates were 17, 18%, you never sold the house. You just sold the assumable mortgage.
That's right.
They bought a mortgage. They threw in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So think about this. So because of pricing, when we do our pre-qualifying of our listing appointments, let's not ask them what price they want to list it for. Ask them what price they want to what?
Sell it for.
Sell it for. Stop asking what you want to list it for, because they're going to give you a dumb price. Ask them what they want to sell it for. And Diana said to me one time, she said, give them she says right to the seller, at what price will your heart stop? That's the price we need to be at. And I went, never even thought of it being quite that. I thought it was pretty blunt. At what price will your heart stop? So get yourself to the point where your heart will probably stop asking that question before their heart stops giving you the price. But anyway, Chase, you having anything else? Your hand is still up, so.
Oh, no, I don't know why that's still up.
Okay, great. Okay, well, give me 2 ahas and I'll let you go. And I really appreciate you being on this call, and I really appreciate you playing at the level we played. And I just loved what we did, because basically we found out that this is a dang easy business. And if you go to the bold law, or I don't think it's a bold law, but the idea of this is the Diana said it 1,000 times. It's the hardest easy business and the easiest hard business. We know what to do. We just got to do it consistently so the compounding makes everything around us grow. And the minute we drop the consistency, we hurt ourselves.
Yep.
Well,
Tony.
Tony,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, Eric, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, so
Chatter?
Tony, yeah, I was going to say the same thing. There was a coach named Coach Norberg, and he used to look me in the eye.
Yep.
David used to look me in the eye and say, "Eric, it's so easy. You just find a way to make it hard."
Yep. Yeah.
But we make it hard because it's so easy, and the brain has to find a way to complicate it.
Yep.
That's
And
right.
when I coached him, he learned that, because he used to make 63 contacts a day and not get an appointment a day. I said, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. You're calling 63 people and talking to them and not getting an appointment. So we changed his goal. He just had to lead generate until he got an appointment, then he could quit. He went from 63 contacts to an appointment to 25 contacts to an appointment.
Wow.
By just being on the phone, instead of making 63 contacts, all he needed to get was a what?
Appointment.
What did the brain say to himself?
Appointment.
Start listening for the appointment, not having a useless call.
Appointment.
You have 2 more questions, Tony.
Okay,
With
go
their
ahead.
hands up. Chatter.
Thank you. So my aha is the last man standing, call until no one is left.
Yup. Isn't that a simple idea?
Hello.
And what Diana just said, most people think that's what? That's
Pushy?
too hard. That's too hard. I can't be there until there's no one left. And here's the thing, knowing your competition, how many calls you need to make to be left? Probably not more than 5 or 6. By 6, everybody's gone. I had a competitor in Boulder. We both were left. I mean, we were both in the top 10 internationally for Remax, out of a town of 85,000 people, making $1 million a year in the 90s, in a town of 85,000 people. We were the last 2 standing. You know what happened? We split those listings over a period of 6 or 7 years. We probably split those listings in half. So, Claudia, you got a question? If you need to leave, feel free.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. How do I make the change from entrepreneurial to purposeful? Because I do have I am used to sitting consistently on my desk and doing real estate work, daily, and sometimes it seems like it's 6 times a week, but the time blocking just for creating the new calls, as opposed following up, I'm great, but making the new calls, it's like I'm busy serving the people that I have and not being consistent with creating the new business. So I do create it, but it's not consistent. And the
How do
fall,
you get from E to P?
yes. How?
Be consistent on the new part.
I know, but how do I change? Because I've been doing it for
How do you
18 years now.
Put it in your schedule. Do it 1 hour a day looking for new business.
Start with something small.
If you need to, start with 1 call a day.
Okay.
But do 1 call a day. How often?
Every day.
Every day. Then you can raise it to
Okay.
every 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, every day, 1 call. Then the next week, do 2 calls every day. Then do 3 calls every day. And you're going to have to put up with, you're going to not allow yourself to miss a day. Because if you don't feel comfortable doing it, if you miss a day, you're going to miss how many?
Okay. Every day. Yeah.
Every day. That's how you get from E to P. It's got to be purposeful, and in your schedule is purposeful. Entrepreneurial is not purposeful. It's just a shot in the dark, and you can't survive on a shot in the dark.
Of course. Thank you.
You can't make the money you make without being purposeful. And purposeful means consistency
On making the call.
on making that call.
That call. Yeah.
If you're
Thank
good
you.
at lead follow-up and you have no leads, it's kind of hard to do lead follow-up.
And that is when it's easier to make those calls. But still, thank you. Thank
Right.
you.
Josephine, go ahead.
So 19 years ago,
You're
my
breaking up.
first
I can't
family
hear you.
reunion, I accidentally, sorry, I said 19 years ago when I first started real estate in KW, I was at a family reunion and walked into a Gary's Top 100 and you were speaking. Okay. I was there accidentally and I knew that I wasn't supposed to be there. I sat in the road nice and quiet. And here we are 19 years later. And it's the same thing, just back to the basics. Like nothing has changed. I have progressively gotten better every year. I've done more and more business. I work with Adele DeMoro. I'm on one of her, on her offices. And like I said, years later, you're still saying the same
Can't hear you. You're breaking up.
things. There's nothing different. See, it's crazy to think that. I mean, it's just, just
Well,
listen to somebody. It depends on where you are, on how you're going to take it, how
right.
you're going to receive the information, how you're going to receive the information.
Yep.
And I mean, this was a great call. And even though, like I said, even though I do quite a bit of business and my business is about 96% referral. And anyway, it was a great call. Like I said, it's just the
Thank you.
same stuff over and over.
Yep. It's the same thing because the people that do it compound it and build their business. The people that don't do it don't build their business and don't compound. That's all. It's
And as
that.
long as you just do something every day to move the needle.
Right. That's
it.
exactly right.
Do something.
Every day to move the needle. Great. Thank you. Okay. Well, this will be the last one because
You're welcome.
there's only a few people left. So thank you. So go ahead.
Priyanka.
Priyanka.
Yes, thank you, Diana. Thank you so much. And I attended your script practice call 2 times. And today we had a big, like a big event with Mike Mulder. He knows you, and I think you knows him too. Mike Mulder with Chattahoochee, Keller Williams, yeah. And there was a luxury panels. We have a session with luxury panels, and I told like, hey, we need to door knocking, and I mentioned that Diana Kokoska, you know her, she is a well-known writer and becoming more author, and she was door knocking with her kids on Red Wagon, and people were clapped, So I relate myself. Thank you, Diana, because I attended 2 scripts VIP session and I got a lot from there. A lot.
Good.
My script upscale and I got listings, I got buyer. Thank you so much. And from today's session, I got 200 days. You have to do, I did 100 days, but not 200 days. So I'm implementing 200 days. Just do and be boring and do your stuff. Be consistent.
Great. So I'm giving all of you a standing ovation for being on the call. Thank you very much. I trust you learned a lot. So thank you. Make it a great, go out and make it a great year, the rest of the year. Great. Thank
Tony,
you.
great job. Thank you.
Our
Great
pleasure.
job. See
Okay,
you all.
bye-bye.
See you Tuesday on Q&A. Bye-bye.